Hey, this is Quick Skills, and today I'm going to be showing you my world's smallest Magic the Gathering Commander deck. This is a fully functional 100-card singleton that you can play with your friends. It's a lot of fun. But before I show it to you, I want to show you the Oversized Commander card that I picked for this deck, and we have a Gahi Honored one. This is a 5-drop that basically says whenever a creature attacks, whether it's your creature or someone else's, an opponent or planeswalker, that creature is going to get +2/+0. So it's going to benefit me whenever I attack with one of my creatures, but more importantly, hopefully it'll take the heat off of me because my opponents will have an incentive to attack each other. So without further ado, let me pull out the world's smallest Magic the Gathering Commander deck. And here it is. So I do have these cards sleeved. You can see here, this is a Magic deck. We're going to pull out one of these cards to take a look at. So here we have a Plains. You can see it looks exactly like a Magic card, feels exactly like a Magic card, except it's really tiny. So here is a normal Magic card to compare with. Here's the oversized cards that used to come with the Commander decks. And as we take a look at this deck, you're probably wondering, why is this deck so bad? Well, it's not horrible to play against, or play with, but the deck is not going to be optimized. I'm lucky to have an Evolving Wilds in this deck, but the reason is that these cards are all sourced from a collection called the World's Smallest, and they currently have 6 decks that you can purchase to pull cards from to build your Commander deck. So I bought the set that includes Ajani versus Nicol Bolas and Heroes versus Monsters. That's 4 decks in total, and I used about 3 of the decks to build this deck that you see here. And so while the mana base isn't perfect, there isn't really a clear win con. I do have some strategies when playing this deck. The first one, let me show you some of the mana fixes we have here. We have a Jungle Shrine. That's a 3-in-1, comes in tap, but can tap for 1 of the color mana that I would need in this deck. And then we're going to have the land that comes in tap, but at least you get 1 life out of it. These are bad mana bases. I wouldn't run them in my own Commander deck, but with the world's tiniest, I have to, because I have no other choice. The other thing is that we do have a Planeswalker. Take a look at that. We have a Ajani. Hopefully, we'll be able to ultimate and destroy someone's lands, but more importantly, you're just going to be controlling the board by tapping things down, and what would be a world's tiniest Planeswalker without a world's tiniest dice. So here we have a little 6-sided die to put on Ajani. Now this deck does have some removal. The removal that we're going to be using is going to be things like this. Destroy all creatures that aren't enchanted. They can't be regenerated. Now this deck has a lot of enchantments to put on creatures. So I'm going to put a creature out on the board, enchanted, and then wipe the board and hopefully be left with the only creature on the board. What creature am I going to enchant? Well, let's go with Fencing Ace. Let's zoom in here. There we go. Fencing Ace is a 2-drop that's a 1/1 double striker. Sounds innocent enough, but what if we put in Griffin Guide? Griffin Guide says enchanted creature has +2/+2 and now has flying. So this is going to swing for a 3/3 double strike whenever it attacks, and it's going to have flying. So even if you can't wipe the board, it will have some evasion. This says that when the creature dies, which it will because it's going to have a lot of heat on it, put a 2/2 white Griffin token onto the battlefield with flying. Well, what fun is that if we don't have our own little miniature token? So when it dies, I'm going to pull out my little 2/2 Griffin, bring it out onto the board. We also have a beast. There is a beast within in this deck as part of the removal package. And so you can see here we have a beast token. Now let me show you some recursion that this deck has. Let's say you did kill my Fencing Ace and I got my Griffin out. Now I'm going to play my Sun Titan that when it enters the battlefield, the Fencing Ace is going to come right back out, and when I attack with it, it can bring another creature out. Another permanent. 3 cost or less. So there's Sun Titan. And then let's take a look at the win condition. Here we have Titanic Ultimatum. Costs 7, but it says until end of turn, creatures you control get +5/+5, first strike, lifelink, and trample until end of turn. And so here, if we have the Fencing Ace out, this is now a 12/12, or this is a 6/6 with double strike, trample, lifelink, but double strike's going to basically attack for 12. Never mind the fact that I might have other enchantments on it. So, you know, it is a bit of a stretch. I don't think it's going to win very many games, but it does have a punch that it can pack and has tactics to stall the board just long enough to hopefully get the right combination of cards to win with my world's tiniest Magic the Gathering deck. Now, I do have here the world's tiniest spin down dice, so I'm going to be keeping track of my life with these little tiny spin downs. And on top of that, I will be building a second commander deck. This is going to be blue, black, and red. I'm waiting on 2 more decks. There's 2 more decks, Vraska versus Jace. I need cards out of the Jace and a few cards out of the Vraska to build a really good Nicol Bolas themed commander deck. But let me know in the comments what you think of this. I'm going to leave a link in the description so that you can go and buy these tiny decks if you'd like. And I hope that they build more of them because I want to improve on the commander decks that I have and maybe build a few more. I don't know why it's silly, but I just think it's a lot of fun and it's a lot cheaper than playing real Commander if you are limited to just these little tiny cards. Well, thank you so much for watching. You have a good day.